Hello, welcome to episode 4 of the Fake Football Guys Show.
We made it.
As always, I'm your host, Giancarlo Campos. Everybody calls me JC. And alongside me is my co-host, Dirty D, Dustin Lingaman.
Hello and good morning. Good morning. I hope you guys have your coffee once again. We're going to go over some crazy news. Along with that, we made it. We didn't get canceled, JC.
Yeah, I know. We didn't get Grudened. I'm really excited we didn't get Grudened.
Woo!
Alongside us, also running the boards, is the one and only Andrew Valentine. Andrew, how's it going?
It's going good, guys. How you guys doing?
Good. Doing great. Doing great. And then the executive producer of the show, the man with the graphics, the great one, Brandon Januska. Brandon, how's it going?
Oh, it's going well. It's a great day. Great day.
Awesome.
We're trying to work it out back here. It's,
All right,
it's
cool.
a little difficult, but stay with us, folks.
Cool. I'm
Still
glad.
early. Still
Well,
early.
Glad to have everybody alongside again, and thanks for tuning in, guys. As a reminder, you can follow the show at @TweetFFGDL. What hashtag can they use if they have questions?
Oh, that's a simple one. Hashtag AskUsFFG.
Yep. And as always, if you have any email questions, send those
Which we
emails.
love.
Yeah, we do love those. Send those emails over at askusffg@gmail.com. On top of that, guys, if you have any, I don't know, you want to send over a voicemail maybe? We did get a lot of those.
Yes, we
voicemail
did.
questions, we're going to send those, DL.
You're going to call area code 708-655-4508.
And as always, please be sure, if you haven't already, to like, share, and subscribe. Turn on those notifications on your YouTube channel so that you know when we go live. Speaking of going live, DL, there's some exciting news.
Yes, there is. We've gotten a lot of requests for this. We've gotten a lot of voicemails for this. You guys wanted us to actually go over the games, the sits, the starts, the who should you bench, and we heard it, and we're coming to you starting this Friday. We're going to have another show going over sit starts for all of the games. So tune into that, and moving forward, we'll have 2 episodes a week. You can decide if you want to go over the waiver wires with us or just wait to Friday to get that advice for that sit start. It's going to be amazing. I'm so excited.
Yeah, I'm excited. We're going to be doing double duty, which is always awesome. So we'll be going live on Tuesday mornings as we are today, and we will be going live at Friday in the afternoon.
Yeah,
so
3 p.m.
Yep, 3 p.m. It'll be
Central
exciting.
Standard.
So send those questions in. If we didn't get to them today, we will definitely get to them on Friday. DL, how's your week going? How's your fantasy team? How are they all looking?
They're looking pretty good, actually. Okay, so this week I went 2 for 3, right?
Okay.
Sanders answered the call, right? That guy, I mean, he's definitely the second wide receiver on that team. It's amazing. Patterson, I was hoping was going to do a little bit more, but he didn't let me down. He did catch those balls left and right, and it was amazing. Really, at this point, it's all about being patient. Even Jonathan Taylor, who I had on my team, if you guys didn't see it last night, shot out a cannon, 76 yards, and scored that TD. He's been one of those. Yeah,
2.
well,
good.
76, Anyways. So long story short, man, patience is the key. Even if you're kind of bottoming out or you're at that point where, I don't know, you're 2-3 or you're 3-3, don't lose hope. Don't start just derailing your whole team just because you're waiting for that home run. But, I mean, I don't know, man. How did you do? How was your week?
Man, I'm in a ton of leagues, man. I'm in 10 leagues, and I'm always I'm always in a ton of leagues. That's just kind of my thing. The 2 leagues I've been in the longest, one of them is a league I'm in with my grade school friends. I've been in it for, over 10 years. And in that league, I'm 2-3.
Oh.
2-3, not the best start of all time. But what I will say is this. I think my team is one of the most talented. I think I'm top 2 in the most points scored. Just gotten really unlucky on who I've played.
Probably weren't watching our show at that point.
Yeah, it's because of that. If I knew what we knew now. No, but with that said, I'm just going to be patient like you preached. I'm going to be patient and, not trade everybody because I have a tendency to trade everybody as soon as possible. And in my other league I've been in a long time, it's a 16-team league, really deep.
Dang.
Yeah, huge benches. My big money league. In that league, my buddy Tim and I are 5-0, which is really exciting news.
Clap it up.
Yep. So we're loaded there. So really excited. Thanks, boys. Thanks in the studio. Appreciate you guys. How about you guys? How are you guys doing in your fantasy leagues?
I mean, Brandon's doing. I would say you're doing pretty well. I'm getting smoked left and right. If I could put it in baseball terms, I'm like 4 for 25 at this point. I'm in a slump right now. I can't pick the right guy to save my life. I start Marvin Jones, and all of a sudden Claypool goes off. I bench Antonio Gibson for Hubbard and thinking he's gonna not do well because he was hurt, and next thing I know, I should have started him instead. Or I don't know, Brandon. You seem to be doing fine.
Well, my team, I'm in 2 different leagues. Both my teams started off 3-0. Both my teams are now 3-2. So I started off great. Dalvin Cook is part of that. I have him on both my teams, and he got hurt. I needed Justin Tucker to put up 8 points for me yesterday. He did not do that. And I also have Saquon Barkley in that league that I needed him. So injuries have really killed my team.
Oh, yeah. And we'll be talking about a lot of those injuries. But, Dustin, I did have a quick question. The guys are telling us that, well, especially Andrew, not doing so hot this year. In the past, he has. Have you ever considered having a co-owner, maybe trying to change things up?
No, I have not. And the reason why is because if I mess it up, it's on me, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I don't want to be like pissed off at my quote unquote co-owner. But yeah, no, I don't know. Maybe I'm just a control freak. I don't know.
Gotcha. So for me, I'm in so many freaking leagues, guys, and they're all decent amount of money. I just can't. I mean, I can foot the bill for all of them. I just rather not. So I do co-own 2 teams. 2 of those 10, 11 leagues I'm in, I do co-own, and I'm totally okay with co-owning those teams. I'm totally okay with sticking to my guns and sharing different pieces of advice with one of my friends when we share a team. But it definitely helps.
Do you guys fight? Do you guys argue
no.
over sit starts, or does he get? Do you have to
I'll give you a perfect example, okay?
All right.
So this week we started Jalen Hurts over Trey Lance. My buddy wanted Trey Lance to start. Yeah, I know. And we started Jalen Hurts. If we didn't start Jalen Hurts, we might have lost our matchup.
Wow,
so,
that's a safe bet. That's great advice you got on that.
We collaborated. He just thought that it was going to be a high-scoring game in San Fran, and it just wasn't. And it's a rookie quarterback who also got knocked out of the game. He got hurt. I'm not sure if you remember that. But it was a really good game, and we did collaborate. We shared different information, kind of stuck to our guns, and stayed with the guy that's been leading us the whole time. But definitely a different way to look at it. Maybe co-owning a team is definitely something that is really interesting.
Yeah, especially if if you're in 10 different leagues.
Yeah,
that's crazy. Yeah, you definitely need some help. You need someone to have your back. Especially even this week we had the London game.
Yep.
And if you weren't paying attention, you may have missed the guy that you may want to put in because that was at 8:30 in the morning.
Yep.
Which I absolutely loved. I loved having
me too.
football all day long. It was great. I had something to do. I watched it with my 2 little girls. My wife wasn't too excited, but hey, it was awesome. I guess since you are in so many leagues, JC, let me ask you this question.
Yeah, sure.
Kind of heading into week 6, who are you considering to drop?
Oh, man. So it depends on the league. Anytime we give you guys any kind of advice, take it with a grain of salt, and it depends on your league. If you're in a really deep league, you're going to want to hang on to a lot of the guys we're going to mention because there just really isn't anybody out there. So it's better if you just hold. But if you're in a shallow league, let's say a 10-teamer or a 12-teamer with a short bench, I'm dropping Brandon Ayuk. I'm just kind of over that experiment. I think he's super talented. They're just not finding a way to get him the ball. And with a rookie quarterback that likes to throw just the intermediate throws, it doesn't seem like he's throwing any deep balls or taking those gambles. I'm kind of over Brandon Ayuk. I'm kind of also over Elijah Moore. A lot was made about him taking off and being used in a bunch of different positions, whether it was the Y or the X. But I'm kind of over Elijah Moore. This is somebody that just hasn't gotten the work that I expected, and it really seems like the quarterback there, Wilson, is just locked on to Corey Davis. It just seems like that. And Crowder just came in and took a lot of targets away.
Yes,
that
he did.
Moore probably would have gotten. Anybody that you're dropping?
Honestly, Allen Robinson.
Wow.
I know, shocker.
I don't know if I drop him yet.
Yeah, dude,
man.
I'm over it. I'm over the experience. Honestly, the Bears at this point, and Andrew mentioned it last week that I don't want to be that mad.
Yeah.
Especially if the Bears don't do well, and then I'm pissed off at Allen Robinson, and he may have scored a touchdown, but fantasy purposes wise, he's just garbage, right? So I'm done. I'm over it. I'm just going to be that fan, takes out that extra anxiety on those Sundays. So, yeah.
See, this is where I would say, hey, see if you can trade trade him away or trade for him. Honestly, I'd rather trade for him. I think it's only a matter of time before he turns it around and rights the ship. I don't think he's going to be as good as probably where you drafted him, but can he be your flex play wide receiver moving forward? I really think he can. It's just a matter of time. So I would probably try to trade him for 60 cents on the dollar. Okay. Honestly, that's kind of where I would go. Trade him for that. And if you're trading for him, I would probably try to offer somebody that you're looking to cut. That's probably kind of where I'm at with A-Rob. I'm not ready to cut him yet personally, but I totally get the sentiment completely.
Do you target teams that are like 0-5 and give them like Allen Robinson, like, hey, your team is garbage. Here's another semi-garbage player.
Yeah, so a lot of times, I do like to target those teams, try to give them players that will start right away, that will help them this week. A lot of times I like to try and get the number 1 waiver ad, which we will get into, and try to trade that guy to a team that's struggling this far into the season, just because they need to start whoever possible. And I think it's important that if you acquire one of those guys that you add from the waiver wire, you know that that's just a temporary fix. That's just a Band-Aid on your team. So I'd like to give that Band-Aid to somebody else and get an asset that I think will pay dividends long way through the season.
Yeah, that's right up until the point where the asset turns into the actual thing that you wanted. And they go from the Band-Aid to the actual player, and then the thing that you wanted more than anything all of a sudden becomes injury prone.
Yeah.
Right, George Kittle?
Exactly. Correct.
Correct. Ready to drop that guy in a heartbeat.
Correct. So there's a lot of times that does end up happening, and it ends up coming back to burn you. But that's where you do your research, and that's where you listen to us.
Clyde Edwards 2 is going out if I can't get more production out of him.
Yeah. I'm in agreement with you. Well, we're going to have a lot of awesome information for you guys on this jam-packed show. We're going to get to some injuries, some waivers. But before we do that, we hit some commercials.
Fox News, we've got your favorite tea. Fox News, buy one today and see.
Do you wear t-shirts that don't fill you with happiness? Does your wardrobe evoke feelings of sadness and despair? Would you like to know where to get your new favorite t-shirt? You need to go to boxnuke.com. We have fun, cool, and comfortable t-shirts, tanks, and more. When you want to make a statement without saying a word, pick up your new favorite t-shirt at boxnuke.com.
Fox News.
Man, are you still working out? It's like 1,000 degrees.
Intense heat is nothing. To get an intense workout, you gotta be intense.
Our friend here's getting an intense workout with the intense cool of his Hydrotech Cool Breeze shoes. Which brings your feet a cooling sensation that is the best on the market today. Can only be explained with one word.
Intense!
Whether you're working out hard or just taking a stroll, these shoes have got your back. Or I should say, your feet.
Aren't these shoes intense?
Maybe a little too intense, but there's no doubt they're cool.
And we're back. DL, it's a big day. It's Temp Tuesday, baby.
Yes, I love today.
Let's go over who we're tempted to add from waivers before tomorrow's big day.
Wait. Pump those brakes before we go over those waiver wires. Let's talk about some of the injuries that we had this past week. There was a ton. There was a lot. There was some definitely heartbreakers, especially for myself, starting off. Calvin Ridley didn't even go to London, so I had to throw in A.J. Green.
Wow.
And he got a point.
Time out. Before we get into these injuries, are you worried about Calvin Ridley?
Am I worried about him?
Yeah, where's your alarm meter? Are you at stage 5, freaking out, or where are you at?
I think I'd be more worried about
the
Atlanta Falcons than I would Ridley.
Yeah, same. Very worried about the Falcons.
Yeah, I mean, I'm worried, but, he's the number 1 guy, right?
Is he?
Yes.
Yeah?
They've got nobody else.
I don't know. Cordero Patterson seems to have taken that team by storm.
No, bro. He's not a Ridley.
You're joking,
not
right?
He's good. He's getting open because there's people double teaming Ridley for sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
All right, sorry. We'll go back through over all the injuries. The first one that pops out to me this week, Thursday night. Thursday night seems to be that game where injuries happen. Russell Wilson injured his finger. Actually had surgery on it.
Yep.
And he's roughly out 6 to 8 weeks.
Yeah, he's a tough SOB. I could totally see him, coming back in 5 weeks. Did you see that injury? His finger was going the opposite way. He couldn't even move it.
It looked nasty.
I think they call it mallet finger. I think I learned.
It looked nasty.
Yeah, I learned a lot medically about different conditions like Liz Frank injuries and different kind of tears and sprains through fantasy football. Russell Wilson's mallet finger was one of the first times I ever seen that.
Did you also see that meme going around?
Yes, I did.
Geno is better than Wilson.
Yeah.
It was hilarious.
Yeah.
I mean, he's 36 for career.
Who put out that
INTs.
blasphemy?
Yeah, it's
How dare
blasphemy.
they?
There's no way he's better than Russ. There's no way.
Guys, he's 39th drafted where Wilson was 75th. AFC Player of the Week, he's won at one time. Wilson, a big fat goose egg, never. He's 30, and, Wilson's 32, so at this point he's old, right? Playoffs, he's undefeated. He's undefeated, guys. Geno's undefeated in play. Yeah.
Wow.
He may have gotten his mouth wired shut, but he's playing like a whole new guy. But yeah, anyways, moving on. If you were watching, which I loved, I don't love, but I didn't have Saquon Barkley.
Yeah, that Giants game was something else. I thought that offense was going to look good, but then, bum.
Ow, my ankle. Looked pretty nasty. But the cool thing, it's not the cool thing, but as I was watching the Bears game on Sunday, I actually got the Sleeper app to notify me that Saquon was out.
Look at his ankle. It is just
There's
a huge
softball
ball
in there.
Yeah, it looks insane. I'm a chronic ankle sprainer. My right ankle, I've sprained it maybe 3 times a year for the last 10 years. Not even kidding.
Doing what, walking?
Yeah, exactly. Rolling out of bed. No, I actually play a lot of basketball, and I always sprain my ankle. And I know that ankle sprain, he's done for at least a month.
Oh, for sure. When I was a skateboarder, I don't do as much, but when I did, I sprained my ankles all the time, and it's worse. It's like even worse than breaking it.
Yeah,
honestly,
it's so bad.
It sucks. It hurts. All right, moving on. We got Travis Kelsey. This one I'm not too worried about, but I thought I'd bring it up for content.
Okay.
He did actually suffer a stinger.
Okay.
If you're looking at Kansas City, he's definitely a playmaker.
Yeah.
So something to kind of monitor throughout the week.
That same team, they had another big injury.
Yeah.
Who was it?
It was Clyde Edwards-Helaire.
Yeah, he hurt his knee.
Man.
Yeah, it didn't look too good. Early reports are that he's out 3 to 4 weeks. Yeah, it was a little worrisome. Just, man, injuries galore this week.
Yeah, and not to mention, if we're talking like 3 to 4 weeks, guys, that's a lot of time fantasy purpose-wise.
Mm-hmm.
If that's your favorite team, you're going to be okay. But for fantasy, it's like, all right, now what? Who do I go to? And you're not going to get someone as productive as you did because obviously you drafted him for a reason. We'll go over the waivers for sure, but even the QBs are getting hit. We have another QB, Daniel Jones, was in concussion protocol and is questionable for week 6.
Yeah, did you see that? So he got tackled and his arms got wrapped up and he just landed on his face, on his helmet.
Ooh,
and as soon as he tried getting back up, he just immediately stumbled. It was really worrisome. I'd be careful. I'd probably try to stream.
I would look for somebody. Yeah,
it didn't look too good. It did
Definitely
not look too
stream.
good. And a lot of times we see those lingering effects travel into a few weeks. So
True,
yeah.
but if you think about it too, Teddy Bridgewater last week, same thing. But he came back and he was all right.
Yeah,
So
it
it's
looked
definitely
solid,
something to monitor. But I absolutely agree with you because if you see him stutter stepping when he's standing up in game, that's not a good sign.
Yeah, same team. Another big injury at wide receiver.
Oh, this one hurt.
Yep. Kenny Golladay suffered a knee injury, and he's out for next week. Might be out for more than that. It just didn't look good. Kenny Golladay, just a guy, unfortunately, always gets hurt, honestly. If you drafted him in the past, you know these things. The guy's made of glass, unfortunately. So.
Yeah, and I was traded him.
Yeah.
Is the whole Giants team just injured at this point? Because Galladay, Jones, everybody on that Giants
Saquon
team is just broken at this point.
Yeah, the walking wounded at this point. That's their team name.
Well, and not only that, man. So last week, right, started Courtland Sutton, bench Kenny Galladay.
Yep.
Kenny Galladay went off, so I was like, all right, this is the week. I'm
starting
going
Galladay.
for it. I'm going to start him. I got this. 0 points. 0. Not even
Zero,
like a half a point, nothing. And then he gets injured, and I'm just sitting there crying because, anyways, we can go over my woes later. But
Yep. It was terrible.
It was bad.
Yeah, another injury that was sustained in Pittsburgh was Juju Smith-Schuster. He hurt.
Good riddance.
Yeah, he hurt, I believe, his shoulder, if I'm not mistaken, and now he's out for the rest of the season. Already had surgery, season-ending surgery, and now he's out. So definitely expect that to have a major impact on the way Pittsburgh plays offense and their wide receiving core. I know last week I did say my dud was going to be Deontay Johnson.
Oh, we'll get to that, JC.
Yeah,
Don't worry.
He was okay. He was solid. He did have some touchdowns, but I expect him to fully get all the target share, him and Chase Claypool. So they're going to eat moving forward. They will be.
Way.
What's the Zeke? They're going to be eating. No
I don't
doubt.
know. I don't watch
No
Dallas.
doubt. And then our final injury, big injury to the offense, was Damian Harris. He left the game with a chest injury. He's questionable for next week. I think he's going to play. He's going to tough it out. But Damian Harris is the running back for the New England Patriots. I think a guy that hasn't been stellar, honestly. I think week 1 was his best week where he got 20 touches, and it's kind of been a decline since then. But a guy that I'd be very interested in trying to acquire moving forward. You can kind of get him on the cheap. Damian Harris, really strong running back.
Yeah, once again, man, and we've alluded to this. If you saw our other episodes, I'm not a huge fan of the New England Patriots at all. Running backs, that is.
Yeah, the way they handle them. Yeah.
The way they handle them, you never know. It's always 50-50. Especially now.
That's
because
because they've got like 17 of them on the field at any time.
They do. It's ridiculous. They do. And they're jack of all trades running backs. Like, none of them are like true, pure runners. Like, everyone could do a little bit of this. So, like, a James White can catch. A different guy can do that. It's just crazy.
I think James White was the only one you're like, all right, this guy's going to catch.
Yeah.
Everyone else, you're like, wait, oh, okay, he did it. He scored a touchdown. But,
That's true.
Yeah, New England's backfield, I've never been a fan of. Even fantasy-wise, like, I guess Tom Brady would probably be the only guy when he did play for New England that
Him
I
and
was
Gronk, honestly, that you felt like
solid.
sure bets. Yeah,
Solid.
No doubt. But with all those injuries come a lot of ads. When one guy goes down, another guy comes back up. And with that said, it's Waiver Wire Wednesday, DL.
Yes. I love Waiver Wire Wednesday. You know why? Because it's a time for you to actually have hope on your team. You can start new. You have somebody brand new that you've never, quote-unquote, worked with, but at the same token can really change around your record for the year.
Yep. As always, a reminder, the players that we're listing moving forward for our waivers are 50% owned. This week we're using ESPN's rosters, so we'll let you know what percentage they're owned for your waiver ads. With that said, let's go ahead and get started. One of the running backs, that I would say would be really interesting to add is Daryl Williams of the Chiefs.
I'm going to say that he's the number one.
Yeah, I would say
honestly.
I would say so too. That CEH injury was huge, and if he's going to be out a few weeks, Daryl Williams, I fully expect to take all the snaps immediately.
Honestly, he's tried and true. He's been on the team for a while. He knows the playbook. You're not waiting for him like a Josh Gordon who's still trying to learn what the heck's going on. And he's productive, and that's what you want. And he's not just limited to catching. He can do it all. Jack of all trades. Swiss Army knife.
Yep, a lot like Damien Williams with the Bears. I just don't think the Chiefs, their method of run is a pass. But Daryl Williams can catch balls out of the backfield. So in a PPR league, that's my number one waiver wire ad at running back, no doubt. And if you have a fab budget, I'm probably spending anywhere between $25 and $30 on Daryl Williams. In a league where there is no PPR, in a standard league, I'm probably spending somewhere between $18 to $22 fab budget.
You know what's funny? I added Daryl Williams pretty much to all my teams last week because we dropped that knowledge on you. And now I'm sitting pretty because now I'm like, haha, yeah, you guys suck. Should have added him.
Exactly. Another ad that I think is really important is Devontae Booker, running back for the New York Giants. He's 3.8% owned. Just a guy that I think in a pinch can, be solid. I don't think he's spectacular in any shape or form. I don't think he's going to carry you per se.
No.
He's not going to give you those 20-point nights. It's not his thing.
He's a safe bet.
Yeah, he's just a safe bet. I like the New York Giants offense. I really do. Everyone is hurt.
Yeah.
So he's going to be, just a solid running back that you can start in your flex. And, if you lost your RB2 this week, just a guy that you can go ahead and pick up. I would say fab budget-wise, I would probably spend anywhere between $10, $15 on Devontae Booker. Unless you really need him, I'd go up in the 20-25 range. Just a guy that is solid all around.
Yeah, for sure. And then since we were talking about the New England backfield, Ramon Stevenson, the running back for New England Patriots, he's 5.8% rostered. Once again, it's somebody, if you did lose a pretty big RB2, he's a guy to add. Now, keep in mind, as I mentioned before, it's New England.
You never know what they're going to do.
You never know who they're going to put in or how they're going to use the guy, or if the guy's going to blow up, or he could actually blow up. Who was that, Rex Burkhead?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We had 3 touchdowns that one night, that one Sunday night. I remember that a few years back.
Just a random guy.
Real quick on Ramondre Stevenson, he looked really good in preseason. He looked like the best running back that they had in preseason. I think he's kind of a long-term option. I'm still a bigger fan of Damian Harris still. It's not close, but I could definitely see Ramondre Stevenson splitting into those carries, starting to take some goal line work away because that's the kind of back he is. I could definitely see that. We move over to Seattle for the next waiver ad. Alex Collins is a guy that may get a lot of opportunity, honestly. Did
PPR.
you hear? Yeah.
I think PPR, he's a solid pickup for sure.
So here's the thing. News broke late last week that Chris Carson is dealing with a neck injury that he sustained at the end of preseason. They haven't really specified on just the severity of it or what exactly the neck injury is, but the reports didn't look good, and it looked like he's going to be kind of questionable moving forward the rest of the year. So I don't know how much he'll actually play, if this is something that he's got to like fight through the pain. But what I will say is this. Pick up Alex Collins immediately. It could be something that pays off in the long run because you might lose Chris Carson later on in the year for an extended amount of time.
And to be honest, Chris Carson, every year I feel like this happens, right? He starts off so great, or he starts up like in the middle of the pack. You're like, all right, cool. He's giving me those points. I'm liking him. But yeah, as the season progresses, he's always gets that injured bug, right? And obviously it makes sense. Seattle runs the ball probably majority of the time, and they go over the top and hit it big. But yeah, Alex Collins for sure in the flex spot. I really like him there. PPR leagues, a must add, I would say. I'm going that far.
Yeah, no doubt. So just really quick, just a guy that I don't think we have talked too much about. We're Chicago fans. Just a quick little name that we'll throw out there. Yeah, exactly. In super deep leagues, Khalil Herbert looked really good for the Bears this past week. I
Running
think that's
downfield.
I think that's a nice little ad. Just something to hold you over. Somebody that you can just throw really quickly in the flex, and he'll give you, I don't know, 5 to 8 points, quiet points. He's really talented. He's kind of a bowling ball. Reminds me a little bit of Maurice Jones-Drew-ish kind of running back.
Runs angry. Runs very angry. Honestly, like I was talking to a fellow Bears fan as well too, and he was like just ripping on me. He was like, "Oh, you should have went with Hubert because it looks like he's going to be the 3 down back." Which honestly, he does. He reminds me a lot of Montgomery. He has that style. He runs angry. So I honestly think he's going to be a great ad. Who knows? He may break one off and score on you. But I would say Damien Williams is going to be the guy who gets you the touchdown.
No doubt. They gave Khalil Herbert a lot of work. He got over 10 touches. So just another interesting little wrinkle and a nice little name to throw in there. We move over to wide receivers. We'll go with the New York Giants wide receiver, a guy that got ejected from the game for a stupid late punch. He did come out and apologize on Twitter, saying that he'll be better. But Kadarius Toney, wide receiver from the New York Giants, he's 10.7% rostered in ESPN leagues. A name that we did bring up a few weeks back. And he exploded this week for over 100 yards, had a ton of targets, over 10 targets. Just a name that, he's super talented. The guy was a first-round pick in the first round. I think he's very talented, and with all the injuries that the Giants have sustained, definitely somebody I'd be interested in. He'd be my number 1 waiver wire ad at wide receiver. With that said, if you have a fab budget and you're looking to spend money, I'm probably in the teens for this. Anywhere in the teens, and if you really need a wide receiver, somewhere in the 20s, totally fine with it if you have the money.
And
also,
once
if they
again,
have a quarterback to throw
you
the ball.
gotta pay attention to the actual statuses of everyone else as well too, because those guys could pop in. Sterling Shepard, as I mentioned before, Slayton could come back up. So you may add them, and just be mindful of those, because if those guys are back and fully in charge again, I don't see Corderas actually blowing up once again. The second guy that blew up on Sunday was Marquise Callaway. He's a wide receiver for New Orleans Saints. At this point on ESPN, he's rostered at 39.4.
Yeah. Are you adding him? He looked really good. He had 2 touchdowns.
He does. He kind of reminds me of a boomer bust, though, because it looks like he goes deep. But, I mean, I'll take the boom.
Yeah, at this point, you're going to ride with a hot hand, and it looks like him and Jameis kind of have some chemistry there. So definitely a name that was really hot going into preseason. Marquez Callaway, somebody that I'd be interested in. I think I would take Kadarius Toney before him just because of the value, especially in PPR leagues. He's just going to get a ton of targets.
Problem with both of them is that they're so dependent on their quarterbacks at this point, and Daniel Jones is out, and you don't know what you're going to get from Jameis Winston at this point.
This is true.
That's the problem with these two. They look good, but they're so quarterback dependent at this point.
Absolutely correct. Absolutely. And what he's alluded to is he'd rather have some of these running backs before these wide receivers. But still, with that said, if you really need one of these guys, trying to run to the waiver wire and add them both. We'll jump over to tight ends. A name that we're really familiar with, a tight end that honestly is always hurt, but he's looked good lately. Hunter Henry, tight end of the New England Patriots. He's 35.6% rostered. Solid tight end. It does look like Mac Jones is using the heck out of his tight ends this year. And that's what they always say. A rookie quarterback safety blanket is always the tight end. He's looked solid, and in that wasteland that is the tight end position, definitely a guy that I'm interested in.
Especially if you're going through the Kittle blues.
Oh, yeah, especially then.
Because he's going to be out at least, 2 to 3 weeks. This is definitely somebody that you want to add. David Najoku is another tight end that we're really excited about. He plays obviously for the Cleveland Browns. He's rostered at 1.7. Now, I would say a couple years back they did draft him pretty high. I think this is a guy that you've always wanted to live up to his draft status, and maybe this is the week he does it. So
Yep. Another quick tight end that we didn't mention, but I'd like to mention Dalton Knox of the Buffalo Bills. I don't expect him to be
Knoxy,
available.
baby.
Yeah, I don't expect him to be available in many leagues, but if he's available in your league, make sure to
Snatch
pick
him.
him up immediately. He's killing, and he may finish in top 8 contention at tight end when it's all said and done this year. He's looked really good, and I would take him over any tight end that we've mentioned today. But just saying, I don't expect
honestly,
him being available.
The
really
Bills' offense is ridiculous.
Yeah.
Like I alluded to this earlier, Sanders is going off. Knox is looking really good. I mean, who doesn't look good on that team right now?
It's true. It's so true. I think they've elevated themselves as the number 1 team in football after last week. But with that said, we'll jump over to quarterbacks. There's been a ton of injuries at quarterback. One of the guys that I'm saying is a waiver guy is Carson Wentz, quarterback of the Indianapolis Colts. I know he did have 2 sprained ankles 2 weeks ago. Looked strong last night. He's 5.4% rostered. I'd be interested in Carson Wentz. As a ad, if you really need him in a pinch, say you lost Russell Wilson, you don't have a backup, and this is what's available.
What about Geno?
Cool. Geno Smith, he's interesting, but not nearly as much to me as Carson
he
Wentz.
went 98 yards, jumped in the game, looked like he was running that offense for years, and just went down the field and scored.
Yep. So here's what I'll say.
Okay.
Here's what I'll say about that. A lot of times when a quarterback comes in after an injury, the defense didn't have a time to game plan for him.
Oh, good
so
point.
after a week of game planning, they're going to take away what Geno does best, which is throw those crossing routes, those middle of the field routes. That's kind of what he does. After they take that away from him, they're going to ask him to play deep and throw those deep shots, and that's just not one of his strengths. So I just fully expect Geno Smith to kind of lay a dud. I don't expect him to step in and be great for the Seahawks.
I mean, for those deeper leagues, though, he is only 1% rostered.
This is true. So. This is true. This is what's out there. This is what's out there. We'll go over to our second quarterback, DL, if you want to take that one.
Yeah. Taylor Heineke, right, is a QB for the Washington football team, 12.5% roster. I literally added him last week. I feel like he's just a good safety blanket. Another thing to kind of look at if you're going to kind of carry 2 quarterbacks, look at your starter, see when his bye week is, and then look at your backup to see when he would actually be inserted into there. I use this a lot just because especially on the waiver wire, it's kind of like, I don't know, this guy sucks too. But it's definitely, if you look at the matchups, can definitely help you get through that tough week. I mean, honestly, we're at that point now where a lot of teams are going on bye. I mean, we got the Atlanta Falcons going this week. Next week, I believe there's 3 other teams going. So it's going to be rough.
And real quick, the matchup. It's a lot of these ads are matchup dependent. The Carson Wentz ad was crucial because guess who they Colts play? They play the Texans, and the Texans are not good. So
garbage.
I can see Carson Wentz racking up points, maybe giving you 18 to 25 points this week, which is one of the reasons why we recommended him. And Taylor Heineke plays against the Chiefs, another high-powered offense. The Chiefs, I could just see the Washington football team playing from behind and just throwing
all day,
game.
baby.
Yeah,
all day.
So
and the Chiefs' defense looks
bad,
nasty.
Yeah,
just not nasty in a good way. Nasty like, oh my God, this expired. I need to throw it away. I don't know where Clark has been. I haven't seen. Did you guys see him at all?
No.
Yeah, no. Garbage.
Yeah, so honestly, these ads are just, they're not the greatest names, but this is kind of what we're working with. It's what's out there, what's available, and a lot of these ads are matchup dependent. So just take a look, do some research, and add some of these guys. With that said, though, we did get a ton of questions this week. We're going to be answering your questions when we come back after these brief messages. check out X-Bomb Sports. They're our friends. They're one of our brother shows that we have here on campus. They're on Wednesdays and Thursdays from 5:30 to 6:30. Real good content. Awesome show.
Really get great
Thanks,
insight
guys.
to what's going on. Oh, no problem, man.
Yeah.
Great insight to what's going on in sports. You may have noticed they have a similar set to ours. In fact, it's the same set. So
Yeah.
we definitely love their show. We tune in. I think last week they had a blackout and they still power went out in the studio, but they were still jamming away. So it was awesome.
Yeah, that was totally planned. We were so awesome that we just took the entire place out.
Exactly.
That's how good of a show we were doing.
Exactly.
So.
A bunch of stars in that room. That's why.
Absolutely.
That's
So you
why.
could say the bomb went off.
exactly.
I'll allow that just for this one. Just for this one, because it's like 10 o'clock in the morning. You get that one.
All right, cool. Appreciate it. All right, guys, we're going to get over to your questions. Thank you for sending them as always. DL, if they have questions on Twitter, where can they send them?
Pretty simple. You just go at @tweetusFFG.
Yep. And what hashtag? Is that the hashtag AskUsFFG?
Yes, it is. We make it super simple.
All right, fantastic. Now, if they have any questions and they want to send us an email, guys, you can send us an email at Gmail by using AskUsFFG for the email. Whatever questions you have, just make sure you sign it. You let us know who you are, where you're from, and ask that question. A lot of these questions are getting really lengthy. Let's keep it a little shorter and sweeter, guys. Just a little bit. Just a little bit.
I mean, hey, when you got something burning on your mind and you want to make sure you get exactly all the details, because the more details we have, the better off that we can make a great answer for you.
Exactly. Lastly, if you guys have any voicemail questions, we always love to hear your beautiful voices. You can send those by calling us at 708-655-4508. DL, our first question is about Kyle Pitts.
Oh, yeah?
Let's run that voicemail.
Hey, how you doing? I calling. I have a question about one of my players, Kyle Pitts, tight end for Atlanta Falcons. He finally had a good game last week. Over 100 yards, got his first touchdown. Curious if you guys think that that's kind of a fluke type thing since Calvin Ridley was not playing that game, or do you expect to see that level of production going for the rest of the year? Let me know. Thanks.
All right, so fantastic question. Thanks for calling in. The question was, DL, Kyle Pitts. Do you see Kyle Pitts producing more like last week, where he had over 100 yards, or do you see him coming back down to earth and playing more sporadically like he was in the weeks prior?
I'm going to answer this. He's going to come back down to earth. I mean, let's keep it real. Ridley was not even a part of that game. So who's your other option besides Patterson? But, I mean, the guy looks so good, though. Like, honestly, I was, jealous I didn't draft him. But, yeah, I think he's going to come down to earth. I don't think it's going to be like it was in the previous weeks where he wasn't being utilized correctly. I think now they kind of see the talent. They saw the flash. I think he's definitely going to be wrinkled and more. Obviously, as I mentioned before, Ridley is their number one guy. He's always going to draw a lot of attention. So, yeah, why not go with the safety big? I like Pitts, but, yeah I do believe he's going to kind of taper down a little bit.
Yeah, I'm with you, too. As soon as Calvin Ridley comes back, those targets are going to come down. He did have 9 receptions for over 100 yards last week. He did look like a freak. The guy looks like Calvin Johnson at tight end. We're going to go ahead and jump over to our second question. It comes from Scared to Lose. Scared to Lose writes in to our email. He says, in our league, there are negative points for turnovers, interceptions lost, fumbles, missed field goals, etc. If I have my win locked up before Monday night, but my lead is very slim, should I bench a marginal player? The question is it bad to form an incomplete lineup if you already have the win in hand? DL, what do you think?
Okay.
And real quick, that was signed Scared to Lose from Milwaukee. DL, what do you think?
Okay, so here's my thing, right? You're going to fill up your whole lineup regardless, because even if you know you're going to win, you still have to factor in the points as well, too, because you may be struggling or somebody else could get that better record, but you have more, or the same record, I should say, but you have the points. So you absolutely want to leave them. I think people who pull their defenses or pull people out are just big, fat wieners. And the reason why I say this is because last year, championship game, right? Mm-hmm. Coming down to the wire, I was going to be the championship once again with my reign. This guy, now, I did start Bell. Mm-hmm. If you guys remember, Bell was on the Kansas City Chiefs.
Le'Veon Bell, yep.
Yeah, Le'Veon Bell. Was on the Chiefs, and all of a sudden, Hilaire went down again, too. And I was like, oh, this is too good to be true. Mm-hmm. Threw Bell in, and, yeah, he sucked. The guy I was playing against was like freaking out because he's a wiener and was like, oh, I'm just going to pull my defense now because just in case they don't do well, I don't want to lose points. It was like that close of a game. So I say you ride and die. I don't even think he's a real champ, honestly, because of that factor, because he wasn't willing to go down with the ship.
Cool. See, my answer to this is don't be afraid to sit players. It's okay to field an incomplete lineup. And here's the reason why. In a lot of leagues, like you alluded to, scared to lose from Milwaukee, a defense can give you negative points. I'm in a few leagues where that happens more times than them giving you, positive points. And I'm not afraid if the matchup's close. Let's say it's 90 to 93, and you have the defense coming up, and you're only up 3 points. I wouldn't be afraid to sit the defense. Honestly.
So you're siding
You
with
play
the
to
wiener.
win, boys.
Yeah.
Play to win the game.
You do play to win, but I'm not going to lose with my defense.
I will say though, that is if you hold out a player, that's kind of like a power move on your part.
Oh yeah, super cool.
That's so like I'm gonna get in your head type of move.
Yeah,
like
it
my
really
lineup's
is.
so good, I don't even need to start a player.
Yeah.
That's right there with you set my lineup for me,
Oh,
which
that's
I've done
great,
that
too.
before and I've won on that. I've
Oh,
also
no
lost on
way.
that too, but I've won on that before.
Oh wow.
Power moves are special.
That's awesome. They really are. That's a power move that I'm willing to do. Our next question comes from Tomas. He has a Bears football question for us. He says, why did the Bears keep Jimmy Graham over Kyle Fuller? I didn't understand at the time, and now even less. Jimmy Graham has zero value. Kyle Fuller would be nice to still have. I'll take this one really quickly, DL. I would say it was just poor management of the salary cap by Ryan Pace. He should not have kept Jimmy Graham. He honestly could have invested that $10+ million on the offensive line, and this team would be in better shape for it. Jimmy Graham is getting less than 40% of the snaps. You're seeing Cole Kmet fully become the number 1 tight end for the Bears that they drafted out of Notre Dame. I just think that it was poor management from Ryan Pace and just a move that did not pay off.
I totally agree with that. You got to keep in mind, too, Robert Quinn was added as well, too. He's got a monster contract.
Yep.
They
He
just
didn't look good last year, but he looks so good this
He
year.
looks awesome this
Yeah.
year.
Yeah.
I know this isn't really fantasy purpose-wise, but it's always good to kind of talk about this. The contracts itself were horrible, and that's why we lost Kyle Fuller, and that's why we also have 5 tight ends on the Bears.
It's true.
5. One of them could give us a better line. Anyways, I'm going to definitely give Virginia a call, see if I can move something around. But, yeah, that's why you're not seeing Kyle Fuller. They had to cut somebody, and it had to be him because they just didn't – they were against the cap.
Yeah, it's just real interesting.
Well, it does kind of actually affect fantasy if you think about it, right? Because removing Kyle Fuller kind of makes the defense that much worse, right? And by doing that, you're kind of lessening the opportunities for the Bears defense to be a top defense for your fantasy team. So, and you're banking on a guy like Jimmy Graham to be touchdown dependable in the red zone.
Yep.
And he can't do it right now because they're
'Cause
trying to
he's
get
old.
it to Komet. But the only guy who's got a touchdown out of the tight ends is Hornstead.
Yeah,
so
it's crazy.
Goes,
Yeah.
goes to figure.
Yeah, go Bears!
Yeah.
Isn't it great to be a Bears fan?
Oh, it's so good.
I love it.
So
It's
good.
great.
It's the most fun. Hey, at least we're winning, and we might have a quarterback now.
Hey,
so.
I will
We're
say
winning
this.
for now.
Yeah.
I
yeah.
will say this, going up against the Raiders, I thought that was going to be a tough test, and they stepped up and they got it done. So
Yeah.
I'm excited to watch them again.
Yeah, before we go to commercials, I know that you did have something, DL, something you've been really perturbed about, something that's been grinding your gears.
Yes, we're going to call this segment What Grinds My Gears. Now, here it is. Okay, so I'm a commissioner.
Yep.
And one thing that grinds my gears about being a commissioner is everyone just gives me these crazy ideas to throw in, or like, hey, can you fix this trade? I didn't really mean it, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, the only reason why I'm a commissioner is because I just love the league and I wanted to have some fun. But really what grinds my gears, and we kind of talked about this before, but if you're trying to get a starter from somebody else's bench, right, or not their bench, but someone that they're actually starting, don't be slick about it. Like, give a fair trade for them to actually see the value. You're going to have to give up value to get value, bottom line. Don't come at them and start throwing, like, every non-guy that you've never started just because you want more quality or quantity versus quality, right? Just recently, we've alluded to this before in our previous episode, but I actually traded for an injured Christian McCaffrey.
You did.
And I traded Nick Chubb, by the way, who did very well this past Sunday, in T. Higgins. Right? So I did suffer a couple of losses. I'm excited for this week because I really think he's going to start. So, yeah, I'll take the losses, but because my return on my investment is going to be that much bigger and better, especially CMC. So What grinds my gears are crappy trade offers.
Yeah.
Literally.
Yeah, same. Really quickly, what grinds my gears, honestly, it's when people look at a trade and they always think, oh, I'm going to win this trade or I'm going to lose this trade. And I don't think you should see trades that way. I think when you look at a trade, you should ask yourself, does it help me and does it help them? That's it. That's how you should see a deal.
Win-win.
Exactly. Make it a win-win. Is the player that you're getting going to be inserted into your starting lineup, and is the player you're giving going to be inserted into theirs? I think that's the way you should look at a deal. You shouldn't always look at a deal and say, oh, I'm going to lose this deal. I'm so scared, or I'm going to make this team way better now than they were. No. Does it improve your team? That's really it. That's the way you should look at it.
Unless you have one who is the weakest link. Which in case, take full advantage of them in your league because everybody has one. You just have to figure out which one it is. And if you're wondering who it is, it's probably you.
Yeah, honestly, that's true. I know.
Wait a second.
Yeah. In a lot of my leagues,
you're the commissioner. That doesn't look good.
Yeah,
Ben,
it doesn't look good for
you.
In a lot of my leagues, the weakest link has become one of the strongest links. So that's always good when that transformation happens. But guys, we're gonna go ahead and put a bow on this show. We'll be back after a few messages with our studs and duds.
Hey, watch your mouth. Wine. I'll just put a quarter in the swear jar. Once it's filled, we get a Coors party after work.
I've been drinking Coors since my college days. The cold draft taste is second to none.
Yeah, worth the recorder, am I right?
You know it, mother.
Hey, you get those reports done?
Yeah. No. You, sir. Attention, employees.
The staff meeting, scheduled for this evening, will now be held tomorrow early as
That is all. Dudes, we're only 75 cents short. Oh, shh. Mr. Boss. Hey, sir, go yourself. You're fired!
I still get beer.
And welcome back to the Fake Football Guys show. We love this segment. It's one of our popular segments. It's the studs and duds of who we think is going to be this week. So just want to kind of start off with JC's. Last week, your layup stud, Dalvin Cook. How did he do?
He didn't play.
What?
Yeah.
It was a layup, though.
Yeah, it
It was a layup. You had it, bro.
No, couldn't control that injury.
Yeah. No.
Yeah. So sorry, guys. Whoever I misled, apologies. But that's good because
Brandon's
on Friday,
very pissed off at you right now. I'm telling you that
apologies.
Right now.
But
you want some reconciliation?
Yeah, I could have won both my games in both leagues if he played.
See, well, here's the
For
good thing. Here's the
shame.
saving grace. We'll now have a Friday show so we can do start sit. Because if I would have known on Friday, I would have told you to sit him. So now I can do that. So that's exciting news.
It is. And that show, once again, is Friday at 3 p.m. So it's a great spot to be in, great time to be in, because we're going to give you those great advice. So also, last week, JC said his dud, right? His dud,
Deontay Johnson, yep.
Deontay Johnson, right? He was going to be a dud, right? And I was so flabbergasted by this. I even put it on our Twitter, right? So our Twitter results that 71.4% said that he was going to be a stud.
Yep.
And 28.6 said he was going to be a dud.
All right, guys. I am a slight radio trained professional. The hardest words in radio to ever say, if you guys know, are "I was wrong." And in this case, I'm totally okay with being wrong. I will say Deontay Johnson did have 2 receptions, 472 yards. He did have a touchdown, which did save his line. If he didn't have that touchdown, it would have looked different. So I wasn't that far off. He did only get those 2 receptions. But again, I was wrong. And I fully expect Deontay Johnson to become a low-end wide receiver 1 moving forward with the injury to Juju Smith-Schuster.
Well, hopefully you'll have more times this week not to throw up, a layup, as you
Yeah.
said
Yep,
before.
yep.
But with that being said, we're going to jump into my studs and duds. My stud for this upcoming week, you got to love him, Emmanuel Sanders. Dude is going off on the Bills. He's a perfect flex, even a starter. I would go that far to even put him as a wide receiver too, because he's getting targets. He's producing. He's getting those touchdowns, especially if you're hurting in that spot. If he's not picked up, which by all means I would be shocked, but if he's not, grab him, steal him, maybe even trade Allen Robinson for him.
Real quick, I am noticing a trend in our leagues. In a lot of the leagues that we're in, the guys that we're mentioning are being picked up, which is good. That means that you, the listener, is listening, which is great. Emmanuel Sanders, we were high on dating back 2 weeks ago when he had 2 touchdowns against Washington. 2 weeks ago against the Texans, he had 74 yards and 7 rushing yards. But last week, as you are saying, he did go off. He had 54 yards and 2 touchdowns. He looked really strong. Again, we've been telling you guys Emmanuel Sanders is going to look good, and he has been. DL?
I mean, even for the season, I mean, he's racking up 19 receptions, 322 receiving yards, 4 TDs.
Yeah, that's the big
right?
number. Yep.
And 7 yards rushing as well, too. I mean, the guy is...
He's solid.
He's solid. He's safe. I would put him in the flex.
Yep.
Don't just...
A bit crazy, yeah.
But he's definitely a stud.
Yep.
We'll flip over to my dud. It's going to be a shocker for some of you, but I'm going to say it right here. It's going to be Damien Williams.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I know. I'm a huge Bears fan. We're playing the Packers. He did do well against the Raiders, but as I mentioned, the Packers defense, I'll give it to them, even though I hate their guts and I hate their colors and hate everything about them, and I wish that they would just get off the face of the earth. They do have a stout run defense. So I feel like it's going to be a little bit tricky for him to really have that huge production. I mean, last week he had 14.4 points, 16 carries, 64 yards, 1 TD, 2 receptions, and 20 yards. But I feel like that is going to be a little bit slight. I still feel like he's going to be productive, but I just don't think he's going to be going off and creating havoc for those Packers.
Real quick, the Green Bay Packers have the 11th ranked run defense, 1 spot above the Chicago Bears at 12th. The Green Bay Packers give up 102 rush yards per game. The last 3 games, they've given up an average of 77.3. So I like that call. A ballsy call on your end, but I do like it.
I'll actually say this for Damien Williams. I got to disagree with you a little bit there, Dustin, because while I don't think he'll have a great running game, I think he'll pop off as a receiver. So I would keep an eye on that. So he could be, I think he's a 50-50 chance. It all depends on how they use him, right?
Yep.
But I think he could be a really good receiver coming out of the backfield for him.
Real good point.
Really good point. You know what? Let's put it on the poll. I'm going to throw up on our poll. If you're not following us on Twitter,
you can follow us at TweetFFG. So what's the poll? What's the question?
The poll is stud or dud, Damien Williams.
Okay, I like it. I think I'm going to lean Andrew's way this way. I think he'll be closer to a stud. With that said, we're going to jump over to my stud and dud of the week. Some familiar names. My stud of the week is Antonio Brown. He had 124 yards and 2 touchdowns last week, and he faces Philly this week. Yeah. Not a big fan of the Philly defense. Just don't think they have the best corners. I think they're one of the lower-tiered corners in the league. Fully expect Antonio Brown to get the targets. I think he's averaging 8 a week. So fully expect him to have a good week and be this week's stud of the week. I see over 100 yards and a touchdown.
Ooh.
Yep, that's kind of what I'm projecting. What do you think about Antonio?
I like Antonio Brown. I always have. Honestly, he's a little bit kooky, but he was definitely the guy on Pittsburgh. I agree with you. I think he's going to do well. The only thing that I would be a little cautious is he's still competing against Mike Evans.
Yep, Chris Godwin.
So there's a lot of mouths to feed, but if anyone can do it, Brady can. So
it does look like Brady is making it a point to get him the ball too. The way they have those different plays set up for him, it's always Antonio Brown streaking down the field. So he's their deep guy. I'm a big fan of what he can do, and that is my stud of the week.
Do we know if I was gonna say, do we know if Gronkowski is he back officially?
Good question. I don't believe he's back yet. I think he's still week to week.
Because I'll say this, I agree with you as a stud, because as long as Gronkowski's out, I think that's where you see Antonio Brown get a lot more of the targets.
Okay. Yeah. That Gronkowski injury is really hurting that team. But
he
they've
broke
looked
like
real
2
good.
ribs or 3 ribs
something
or something
like that.
crazy.
Yeah, he did have some cracked ribs. Generally, there's a few weeks before somebody comes back. Probably, I would say.
Have you ever broken a rib?
Never.
See, here's the thing about his ribs. Like, he can honestly play. It's just the pain tolerance.
Okay.
I've never broken a rib either.
Yeah, me either.
But I have a sneaking suspicion
It's
hurts.
not good. It's not good at all.
Yeah.
It's painful.
Yeah, not one bit. He's already listed as doubtful for this upcoming game. As of 12 hours ago, the latest update is that they're uncertain as to when he will return. So I would anticipate him out for at least 3 more weeks minimum.
Okay.
Truly. Jumping over to my dud of the week, a name that it's going to surprise a lot of people. One of the guys that I've always been a big fan of, Tyler Lockett. Tyler Lockett had 57 yards last week, and he'll be without Russell Wilson for a few weeks. So if you have Tyler Lockett, I would look to try to move on from him, try to trade him if I were you. I just don't think one of Geno Smith's strengths is throwing the deep ball. Geno can, move a little bit. Again, he likes all the short stuff and the intermediate stuff. He does not do the deep balls very well, and that's kind of where Tyler Lockett, earns his checks. He makes those deep ball catches. So.
I'm gonna agree with you on this. I'm gonna agree. I think he's gonna be a dud. Honestly, he's been kind of slipping into DK anyways, right?
He has,
like
yep.
I thought, this past game that they were gonna go Lockett heavy. I even threw some money on the game too. I thought Lockett was gonna get me that touchdown, which he did, but they called it back. So yeah, with the new quarterback, his style of play, I don't think he's gonna be productive at all. And keep in mind, Russell Wilson's going to be out for a while, so it's not like he's going to have that bounce back game either.
Yep. Yeah. So I'm kind of looking to move away from Tyler Lockett. I'm not looking to move away from DK Metcalf. DK is 6'4". He's just a giant.
He's a
and
beast.
That's the kind of guy that a backup quarterback's going to just try to throw to all day, every day. Whereas Tyler Lockett's 5'10", little short guy, and again he's a speedster. Again, I just don't see him being that effective.
DK is going to fight to get open.
Oh yeah,
straight up, and he's like I said, he's a beast, man. He's mean. Like he has no problem just pushing dudes out of the way and just like slamming it down. And he's fast as fuck.
Yeah, he is. Boys in the control room. Anybody that you guys like as duds? Anybody that you'd like to move on from trades wise? Any of your thoughts?
I'd like to move on from George Kittle on my part. I don't know. I'm done with him at this point, so I'm calling him a dud. I think he's still out, so I think he's going to be out for a while.
2 to 3 weeks.
Yeah. So, and they have a bye layered in there. They have a bye week. So the earliest he can return is November 7th.
Yeah, I would keep saying the 2 guys that I think are the studs right now for me. I'm going to go say James Robinson. I think he's going to keep having career year. I think he's going to have a big year on going in. And Chase Claypool, I think he's going to keep performing, especially now that you've got Juju Smith-Schuster out for the season.
Nice.
I mean, I know Deontay Johnson's good, but considering Big Ben likes to throw the ball down the field and Claypool's a really nice big target and he can work over the middle too, I think Claypool's going to get a lot of targets, which stupid me needs to start playing him more. And I think Marvin Jones Jr., I think, is going to start being a dud as well because I just feel like Jacksonville's moving far away from him and more towards Laviska Shenault as being like a top-end receiver at this point.
Great insight.
You know what, Andrew, honestly, like I picked up this guy last week. I'm sure.
Shenault? Laviska Shenault, you picked him up?
No. I picked up Dalton Schultz.
Oh, nice. Tight end,
As a tight end, he was still out there, and I was like, because I got kind of screwed when last week when I had to trade away Claypool for Cameron Brate. And it was my own fault, so I learned my lesson there. Yeah, I had to trade to JC. He had me over a barrel, and what was I going to do? And I wish I would have done it because I still at Claypool. I'm kind of burnt about that. Anyways, long story short, Dalton Schultz, if you haven't picked him up, this guy is honestly a beast, right? So this past game, he was targeted 8 times, 6 receptions, 79 yards. Didn't get a touchdown, but put up some great points. The week prior, 8 targets again, 6 receptions again, 58 yards, and yes, 1 TD. So if you have the Kittle Blues, that would be someone I would target as well too.
It's better than Jared Cook Jr. right now. I didn't start him when he had his big game last week, and then this week I had to start him, and then all of a sudden he gives me nothing. So I'm tight end. It seems like this year has been like hit or miss. I think with everybody, unless you have Darren Waller. He's the only guy I've seen be consistent on a week-to-week basis where it's like you can start him and you know he's going to give you numbers. And Kelsey, too.
Yep.
But those, I mean, honestly, Kelsey is somebody who's going to always be drafted high. So if you want to go that route, you can. I wouldn't necessarily do it. But yeah, tight ends are hard to pick for sure.
Yeah.
But
Yep. Well, guys, we're going to put a bow on it. It's been a fantastic episode. We're excited for our Fantasy Friday episode starting this week.
3 p.m., 3 p.m.
I can't wait to see your face yet again.
Yes.
Guys in the control room, you guys are awesome. Really big fans of all your work this week. Great job making us sound better than we really are. Remember, you can shoot your start and sit questions to us this week by tweeting us at tweetffg. Or you can send us a question using the hashtag AskUsFFG. Or you can send us questions at what email?
AskUsFFG@gmail.com.
Fantastic. Finally, DL, if they want to send us a voicemail question, where can they do that?
Hit us up at 708-655-4508. We love getting those. Those are always fun because, hey, it's better than hearing our voice read question after question. So.
This is true. This is true. That's it for today's episode, you scallywags. Thanks to Andrew Valentine in the control room. Thanks to Brandon Januska, as always, executive producer of the show, for making us sound great. Thanks to DL for his mediocre fantasy advice. It's always solid. It's always strong and kind of mediocre. Again, my name is JC. We'll catch you this Friday with our first episode on Fridays. For JC, signing out.
Tune in 3 p.m.
Hey, watch your mouth. Wine. I'll just put a quarter in the swear jar. Once it's filled, we get a Coors party after work.
I've been drinking Coors since my college days. The cold draft taste is second to none.
Yeah, worth every quarter, am I right?
You know it, mother.
Hey, get those reports done?
Yeah. No. You, sir. Attention, employees.
The staff meeting, scheduled for this evening, will now be held tomorrow early as
Who's all?
Dudes, we're only 75 cents short. Oh, shh. The boss.
Hey, sir. Go yourself.
Fine!